Describe it.
So a risk-limiting audit is an audit that you can take actual election night results and compare them with the ballots that are cast. And the way that they're chosen is, and how many you choose is based on how close a contest is. And it's also that way you audit the right amount without any more than you need to. So it saves time, it saves money, and it produces the best results because you're auditing from election night. So I ran for clerk and recorder in 2006, and that was right after HAVA was being implemented. And we had a very active community as far as the choice of our equipment, and one of the members of that advocacy group was a really big fan of audits, and especially the risk-limiting audit. And so he talked to me early about it, and so then gave me a year to get settled, and then in 2008 we did our first attempt with the risk-limiting audit, and it just really appealed to me, some of the benefits of it.
What appeals to you about it?
So what really appealed was we were in a really heightened environment where people were, there was a small group of the population that was not trustful of the equipment, and this was their solution. So no matter what software had been put on it, this was your way to show that nothing had happened to the equipment in the processing of an election. So for me, it was like, it also gave us a chance to check the equipment. So I wasn't worried that some nefarious act had happened, but I just wanted to ensure, was it tabulating properly? And we have a lot of humans involved, and did we make a human mistake? And so it felt like the win-win, like it could answer our questions, and it also could increase confidence in the outcome of the election.
So you're there.
Right, so at the time I didn't know we weren't really doing a full risk-limiting audit, and we couldn't because we were limited by the equipment. So today it's great, we can take a batch of ballots and you can find one ballot and compare it with one results. But when we were doing it, we had to get results for each batch of ballots. So every 150 ballots, we were on the HART system, we had to stop, burn an MBB, and then create a table where you got the delta between those two. So we could have over 700 cards we'd have to read in. And so while it made the risk-limiting audit possible, it was really time consuming. So that's part of just working through those logistics on that.
So you just
I would say the major challenge was just working with the technology that we had back then and how to make it as efficient as possible. On top of that, at the end of an election, when everyone is a little tired. So you just had to make it as simple as you could, and it took a while for us to get there because it's a pretty complex process. And back then we had to create our own tool to do the selection process and our own tool to calculate margins and which contest you did. And so, it was a lot of effort on that part. And so now, on top of that, we were the only ones doing it. So we had to collect all the data ourselves for the statewide contests.
So we're here.
Well, I think the biggest piece is that we're really auditing the results that came through on election night. All our previous audits were really, not the one that we did in Boulder County, but the rest of the state was doing, was really a recount for the most part, because you were scanning ballots on a different day to just show that nothing had changed in the equipment. But this is the first time we're going to actually get true election night results audited in an efficient manner, and that is actually statistically based on how close a contest is. And so we just haven't had that before. So I think for election officials, if you're already doing audit, this is one that is statistically based, so it really increases your confidence that you have really looked at your close contests, because that's how it's set up, is to pick a closer contest. And it also really helps you improve your processes. That's what we really learned from doing it, was how did our system work and how do we better educate voters in order to make their voter intent clearer. Also, what are the things that digital systems aren't as great at seeing? It's that stuff in the middle where is it a vote or is it not a vote? And so we learned how to educate, and then also how to process our ballots. One of the things we implemented because of it is we do a pre-process before it goes through the scanner. So things that are marginal, we have election judges take a look at and make sure it gets adjudicated properly. Now, these would come out in a recount, but we wanted it to go in the first time and have it be as accurate as possible. So that's from an election official. From the voters, it really, especially in this heightened area where we're talking about security and the concerns people have about security, I think this is another piece to help them gain confidence in the results being what the results are. I really think they go hand in hand. I think that auditing is the ultimate proof that your security procedures worked and that nothing happened to your election. So I'm hoping that the momentum of our focus on security can also propel audits. I think that's why we started it in the first place, because we need people to believe in our democracy. We need people to believe that the results and the winners are the ones who won. And anything we can do to help instill that will increase and improve our democracy.
So,
well, one is do it. My first piece would be do it. If your state won't do it, find a way for you to do it as your own county or your own jurisdiction. If there's no law saying you can't, then that probably means you can. So that's the first thing I would be is just jump in and do it. If you can get your state on board, I think that's a better way to go because you have so many more resources to pull to it. That's why it's so exciting now in Colorado is to, Secretary of State's office has been amazing at creating the tools and doing really the heavy lifting so that counties can just do the auditing portion. And so that part is really exciting. So engage your state. If your state doesn't want to get engaged, show them that it can be done. We have a lot of lessons that we can pass on, so there's at least a roadmap for that. And then the other is to work with your community on it. I think that really helps improve both people's understanding audits. They're not as simple as they seem. And by getting members of your community engaged in supporting it can really help everyone believe in the outcomes. So I think that's the exciting part is like Colorado has so much material available on the Secretary of State's website, and we'll have even more after we complete this one. So I would start there. What's the principle behind it? And then what are the processes and procedures? I know we as a Clerks Association have written a guide to help how you set it up, and so all of that material we would make available. So that's where I would start.